All right. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Fatherless Homes Didn't Happen Overnight. Because, and I'm saying this, and I might wind up working backwards, because people are talking about would have fixed the problem if fathers were in the home with the kids, and I don't disagree with that, but the way I look at it is people want to act as though that's going to excuse all the failures that happened in the last 50 years. And so this is where I'm going to get into it like this then. When we go back to slavery, it's going back too far. Because after slavery ended, all the way through Jim Crow, black families were, all the way up to the Civil Rights Movement, black families were intact. You know, when people talk about, well, guys had families on the side and a kid across town, that's true. But there's a difference between people who had, guys who had a family across town and families who had a side baby or illegitimate baby that they didn't provide for or didn't raise, or a side baby that they didn't bring into the home, because that happened also. So that's different cultures. That's not the same exact thing. But when the Civil Rights Movement hit, that's the institution of welfare. And that's when people talk about the guys were basically pushed out of their homes for money. And in the beginning, from my understanding, the guys weren't in the home, but they were present in the children's lives. So it went from that to getting pushed further out, to kids growing up saying they don't need a father, or I would say the mother saying that they don't need a father, then the kids saying they don't need a father, and then when things don't work out, blaming everything on the father not being there. And the society evolved over years, over like a 50-year period, from because people forgot the criminal element, the protection element. Like we don't have the same issues that we have now and during the end of the Civil Rights Movement to now, because you don't hear stories prior to the Civil Rights Movement where children were getting raped by family members or other men who were coming by, unless it had to do with racism. Other than that, you don't hear stories like that. And a lot of the protection part of children started going slowly downhill, and it got worse and worse and worse over time. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, like I said, fatherless homes didn't happen overnight. So the things that a lot of people miss about that is, fatherless homes, in my opinion, are part of what created the gender war, because people seem to forget. Even guys have always been on the back end of relationship workings. Like women were ahead of the curve in relationships and men are behind the curve in relationships. So in the beginning, there were the guys who were out the home, but they were involved. Then there was the guys who didn't know if they were the father or not, you know that. And then there were the guys who were stepdaddies who knew they weren't the father, right? And then there were the guys who knew they weren't the father, and the kids had to always remind them, no matter what they did for them, that you ain't my daddy. And then all of those guys just got, I guess, fed up over time. So now you're looking for the guy you would call a simp to come back, but these guys have seen it happen, but guys that were in their own parents' lives, and some guys have lived it where they've been treated that way. So you have guys who've actually witnessed that, you know, these fatherless homes are created by design. So they don't take it the same, you know. That's why you hear I'm not going to be with a single mother because, you know, the kids might say you ain't my daddy. Or, you know, you actually playing stepdaddy, but she doesn't want to have any kids with you, you know. Or you've been the guy who had to take a paternity test because you were told the baby wasn't yours, or the baby is yours, depending on the mood, and now it's between you and this person, and you don't know, you know. And then you skip up, or you're the guy that wants to be involved in this, and has to fight through courts and families and all of that just to have a relationship with your kid because you're dealing with people who are like, well, I'm the mother and the father. See, this stuff didn't happen just overnight. And then you have people who say, well, all of that doesn't matter. Oh, it does matter, because if it took 50 years to get here, it's not going to change because you decided today that you don't like your life without a man. So guys should just fall in line, and we're going to just hit the restart button, and we're going to act like nobody ever had these experiences and we never had these experiences. At the same time, wanting guys to pay for other guys' mistakes because you're holding on to bad experiences. It doesn't work that way. I would also say that, you know, it didn't happen overnight, and that's why the gender war can't get fixed overnight, because not as men, we try to say this a lot of times, but I guess the ladies don't hear it. Fatherless homes in this evolution of female behavior, trying to, I guess, imitate the worst of male behavior in some ways, or just masculinity in general, made you not compatible with men. A lot of y'all weren't even raised to be compatible with men, to coexist with men, you know. So you want guys to come and be protectors and providers for you, but you don't know what a protector and a provider looks like. You don't know what protection looks like. You don't know what provision looks like. You don't know the mindset of masculinity. You just are kind of like, remember the Cosby Show, Kenny and Rudy, or Bud, you know? He would always talk to Rudy about relationships. My big brother says, it's that. You know, it's that. It's my big sister says, my mama says, my auntie says. And all of this stuff has nothing to do with relating with a man and finding common ground. It's just because it comes off like, well, since I was raised by my mama and you was raised by your mama, and you know, mamas think alike, you as a man need to think like a mother thinks, and we're on the same page. It's like, no. I'm not a woman. I don't think like a woman. I'm not a woman. I'm not held to the same standard as a woman. I'm not a woman. I'm not gonna to act like a woman. I'm proud with being a man, even if I was a man who was raised by a woman. And you know, just because my mama said doesn't make my mama right. My mama said a lot of things that didn't work out well, and my mama acted like she never said those things. But you know, which is the other thing about fatherlessness, because you know, because fatherlessness didn't happen overnight. People forget the input that fathers bring to children's lives and people's lives, and now every time a man says something, it's automatically deemed as hostile, even when it's just truth. You can't do that to that person. That's wrong. Who are you to tell me you're just a man? Okay, if you do that, that's gonna come back to bite you in the ass. You don't know what you're talking about. You're just a man. And then, voila, life smacks you in the face. Now what? You know, I hate you more because as a man you said that it could come true, and what you did was you spoke evil into existence in my life by telling me what you felt was the truth, but it's not the truth because my mama said that men don't know what truth is. Okay, that's what we doing? Okay. And that's why I'm saying, like, fatherlessness didn't happen overnight, so you can't just fix it like that. You know, and unfortunately, you know, the hostility between the genders is because of this. Because men say, you know, these women are too far gone. It's not that they're too far gone because men ain't shit. And some men ain't shit. But it's that they're too far gone because you have grandmothers who had daughters who have granddaughters, and the two generations can't teach the granddaughter how to relate or how to coexist with a man. They can't tell her nothing, but they tell her that men ain't nothing, men don't need to be in your life, and at the same time, thirsting for men's attention. And then, you know, and because this didn't happen overnight, people seem to forget where the shifts came. Like, people seem to forget, you know, before I'm strong and independent and don't need no man, people forget anything that you could do, I could do better. You know, people forget before I'm the mother and the father, well, I could do bad all by myself, even if you wasn't doing bad. You know, people forget that. You know, people forget that before, how can I say? Before, this is my baby, even though you had a child with a person, is I'm taking him to court for child support without even having a day of parenting. Like, you know, getting pregnant and saying, well, I'm putting you on child support. And like, dude didn't even parent that kid yet, but you already, you know, there used to be a time where both families came together. People forget those days because, the mama had the baby, it's the mama's and the mama's family's baby. What about the other side of the family? Well, maybe we'll let the grandmama see the baby, but that's about it. You know, if he got a sister, maybe the sister, you know. And because this didn't happen overnight, a lot of things that people think are normal aren't normal. And people hit a wall in life because everybody does not have to put up with dysfunction and abnormality. And, you know, people get upset nowadays because other people ain't feeling it. Like, no, I'm not with that. I'm not with that. They're like, what do you mean you're not with that? I'm not with the trifling stuff. I'm not with the ratchet stuff. I'm not with the dysfunctional stuff. This ain't dysfunctional. It's normal. No, it's not. It's normal to you because, you know, you grew up in generations of fatherlessness. You know, and you don't even know how y'all got to this point where you think it's normal. So that's just my 2 cents on that, man. We out.